Hello everyone, welcome to today's presentation. In today's presentation, we are going to solve the simultaneous equations. There are several ways under which simultaneous equations can be solved. One of the methods is elimination method, matrix method, graphical method, and finally the substitution method. In our presentation today, we are going to look at how to solve the simultaneous equation using the elimination method. What is the procedure under which one needs to follow while solving a system of equations by elimination method? The first step is to write both equations in standard form. If there are any coefficients that are fractions, ensure that you clear the fractions before solving the equation. Step number 2 is to make the coefficients of one of the variables opposites. So this would involve deciding which is the variable you want to eliminate and then multiply one or both equations so that the coefficients of the variable that you want to eliminate are in opposites. Step number 3 is to add the equations resulting from step 2 to eliminate one of the variable. Then the next step is to solve for the remaining variable and then finally substitute the solution from step 4 into one of the original equations and then solve for the other variables. Then write the solution as an ordered pair starting with the first variable and then followed by the second variable. It would be very important to check that the ordered pair is a solution to both of the original equations so that you can be sure that you got the answers correct. We have a practice question that entails solving for the value of x and y in the given equation. To solve this equation, we are going to follow the steps that we outlined earlier. So we first rewrite the question. We have the first equation as 3x minus 2y equals to minus 2. And the second equation is 5x minus 6y equals to 10. So the first step is to identify which of the unknown variables are we going to eliminate. In our case, we can decide to eliminate the middle term which involves y. And for us to eliminate y from the two equations, we will need to multiply the first equation by a coefficient that will result in negating the coefficients of y. So in this case, we have the coefficient of y in the second equation as negative 6 and the coefficient of y in the first equation as negative 2. So to make these two coefficients opposite, we will need to multiply the first equation by negative 3 and then retain the second equation as it is. So we'll have the second equation will be 5x minus 6y equals to 10. So to multiply the first equation by negative 3, we will need to multiply every component of the first equation by negative 3. So we multiply negative 3 by 3 and we multiply negative 3 by negative 2 and then multiply negative 3 by negative 2. This results to the first equation becoming negative 3 multiplied by 3 becomes negative 9x. Negative 3 multiplied by negative 2 becomes positive 6y, which is now equal to negative 3 multiplied by negative 2 becomes 6, which is positive in this case. And then the second equation remains as it is, becomes 5x minus 6y equals to 10. So realize if we add these two equations, we will have negative 6y minus 6y, which will end up being 0. And as a result of that, we will have eliminated the middle term in the two equations. So let us add the two equations. So we have 6, which is positive, plus 10 gives us 16, which is equal to negative 6 plus 6y gives us 0. And then we have negative 9 plus 5 gives us negative 4x plus 0. So in brief, this is the same as negative 4x equals to 16. The next step that we need to employ into our expression is to solve for the value of x, and we will solve for the value of x by dividing both sides by -4. So we have -4x divided by -4 should be equal to 16 divided by -4. So cancel by -4, you get 1. Cancel by -4, you get 1. Cancel the other side of the equation by -4, you get 1, and cancel 16 by -4, you get -4. So this implies that the value of x would be equal to -4. Now, after obtaining the value of x, we need to substitute this value into one of the original equations for us to be able to get the value of y. So in this case, we can take equation 2 and substitute the value of x to find the value of y. So we have 5x as equation number 2 minus 6y should be equal to 10. But we know that the value of x is equal to -4. So in this case, we have 5 multiplied by -4 minus 6y should give us 10. If we simplify, we will get -20 minus 6y equals to 10. Now, to eliminate the value of -20 on the left hand side of the equal sign, we will need to add +20 to both sides of the equation. So we have -20 plus 20 minus 6y equals to 10 plus 20. This gives us -20, and +20 will cross out and you remain with 0. So we have 0 minus 6y equals to 10 plus 20, which is equal to 30. The next step is to use this expression to solve for the value of y. So we have 0 plus -6y should give us -6y equals to 30. Divide both sides by -6. Divide the other side of the equal sign by -6. Cancel by 6, you get 1. Cancel by -6, you get 1. Cancel by -6, you get 1. Cancel by -6, you get -5. Now we have the value of y, which is equal to -5. The next step is to write the answer as a pair. So we have the answer to the simultaneous equations expressed as a pair of x and y. So in this case, we will have our expression as -4, -5. So let us verify whether our answers are correct by substituting in the values of x and y into our expression. So we will use the first equation to test the answers, and also later use the second equation to verify our answer. So the first expression is 3x minus 2y is equal to -2. So we will substitute in the values of y and x as obtained in our expression here to equation number 1 and see whether we will be able to arrive at -2 as the answer. So in this case, we will have 3 multiplied by -4, which is the value for x, minus 2 multiplied by the value of y, which is -5. This will give us 3 multiplied by -4 gives us -12, and then -2 multiplied by -5 gives us +10. Now if you add -12 plus 10, this gives us -2, which corresponds to the original answer that we had in the first expression. Now let's try substituting in the values in the second expression. The second equation reads 5x minus 6y should give us 10. So let's substitute in the values of x and y in this expression. So we have 5 multiplied by negative 4, which is the value of our x, minus 6 multiplied by the value of y, in this case is equals to negative 5. This gives us negative 20. Negative 6 multiplied by negative 5 gives us positive 30. If you add negative 20 plus 30, this gives us positive 10. And if you compare with the original answer, we have this 10 is the same as what we had in the original expression. This brings us to the end of our presentation today. Looking forward to seeing you in our next presentation. Thank you.